For the second regatta of the 2023 season, the 52 Super Series comes back to beautiful Scarlino in Tuscany. We have 11 boats racing from 7 different nations, and Provezza, winners in Saint-Tropez, are back on form, but can they win once again in Tuscany? So the first race starts, 6 to 9 knots of breeze, the wind axis is 265, nice sea breeze conditions, flat water, good start for Platoon and Allegri. The top right pays and it's Value leading with Sled second and Paprec third. Platoon understand the ley line, as do Allegri, both have to take penalties. Sled move clear on the downwind. The first race win is for Sled, Paprec are second, Value third and Phoenix fourth.
Coming out of the water with 1 and 5 is a super day, so we are very happy about it.
And like clockwork, race 2 went away in the same breeze, 9 knots of wind strength though. Phoenix make a good start and lead at the top mark with Quantum Racing in second. Quantum Racing take the lead going down the run, they go out to the right, find more wind pressure. Provezza are good on the second run and the beat, they get up to second. Through the finish line it's Quantum Racing, Provezza in second, Phoenix, Platoon. So Quantum Racing lead the regatta but only on count back from Sled.
Yeah, today we were missing our tactician, John. That made it very challenging for us. Harry got us out of some tough situations that I put us in, and we ended up having a good day, so we're happy.
So after 2 races, Quantum Racing, powered by American Magic, lead on 6 points. Sled are second, also on 6 points. Phoenix are third on 7 points.
Perfect.
Well, it's just turned afternoon here in Scarlino, just after midday, a local time here in beautiful Tuscany. It's a super hot day at the moment, but unfortunately, as you can probably see, no wind at all. We're just in between the breeze transition from a northeasterly gradient breeze, expecting, hoping, fingers crossed that the westerly sea breeze will come in, but at the moment you can see it's glassy smooth. We're under an AP, we're going to have to wait, and all the time we know there are these thunderstorms around which will make the breeze quite unsettled when it comes in anyway. So at the moment, unfortunately, it's a waiting game. Say it's completely flat, time to go swimming, enjoy your lunch, catch up with a little few chores around the boat perhaps, but unfortunately no racing at the moment. We're under AP and we're going to have to keep on waiting. Well, welcome back to Scarlino, beautiful Tuscany. It's good news as the sea breeze has filled in as expected from around about 260, 265. We have about 8 or 9 knots, probably closer to 8 knots of breeze just now. And so we're going to go racing. We're at less than 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes until the start. So good day yesterday for the quantum racing powered by American Magic. Missing John Kostecki, the tactician. The good news is to see he's very much on the mend. And there'll be a period of recovery for him. But the team did a good job without him yesterday, leading, but only on count back from Sled. Now, those of you who remember, we were here in September last year, and that was Sled led, I think, on 3 days. Going into the last day, they had a small lead. Now, the last day for Sled, they did a 5 and a 7, and they lost the overall title. So I'm sure they're keen to make amends and to take away the title here. Provezza had a little bit of an up and down day yesterday. The winners in Saint-Tropez, still the circuit leaders at the moment, but there's so much happening. Allegre were nice and consistent coming in here, but are really not such a good day, getting a penalty in the first race. Platoons also penalty in the first race. A little bit of controversy going on behind the scenes, but it's time to settle the nerves, get down to business, go racing, and we're racing in the sea breeze once again. Perhaps I think the line a little bit more open, if you like. Yesterday it was very much the top right that paid off. And so we'll see whether that's the case again. But also yesterday, good to see both Vayu and Paprec up there in the good seats, as it were, getting good scores. Paprec, I think, getting second in the first race. Vayu leading round the windward mark in the first race. So really, opportunities for all is the maxim here. No race is over until it's over. It's not a one-sided or super one-sided track as we saw in Saint-Tropez. And the sailors do feel quite comfortable here in terms of having been here a few times before, not just with the 52s but with other classes. So this is a venue which is becoming more and more popular with Grand Prix classes of all types. So sure, we have a nice facility with the Marina da Scarlino, which is kind of almost purpose built for this kind of event. There's lots of good accommodation and cafes and restaurants, little bars. You don't have to go very far. Anyway, nice flat water. And yesterday, once again, we were seeing the kind of geographic effects of the land masses round about us and the islands up to windward, and that was certainly what worked, I think, for quantum racing powered by American Magic. In that second race, they stayed out to the right, looking downwind, and got themselves through into the lead. But we've seen some great action at the windward marks. Very, very close roundings, and these two penalties yesterday really making life difficult for Allegre and Platoon in particular. Anyway, just we're looking up the line. I would say potentially a little bit of bias perhaps on the committee boat end of the line, but it is quite hard to tell. Certainly that seems to be where Provezza are headed. So too Phoenix and Gladiator not able to repeat their form of Saint-Tropez, winning the last race there, finishing third overall, but tied on points with Quantum. Weren't quite able to impose themselves yesterday. So looking at the line and the windward end of the line, a little bit less wind pressure perhaps where Provezza are turning. So Alpha Plus very much on the learning curve. This is only their second regatta with the 52 Super Series. And the really the feedback the debriefs after Saint-Tropez, almost everyone talking about trying to improve their starts. Certainly Quantum and Sled in particular, we spoke to them before the regatta, that's what they were talking about. They've been working hard over the practice days that we've had here, the practice races, and 2 previous days of informal practice. It's all about getting off the line at maximum speed with, ideally, with clear air, nobody sitting on your breeze or affecting you. So let's see how this plays out this time. So at the moment, Gladiator looking like they're going to go kind of time and distance on the pin end of the line. They have Value just to weather, Sled also. 3 boats up from the committee boat end of the line. Need to start moving a little bit forward. Allegra trying to keep a nice space as well. Shepherding or holding Alpha Plus up. Top end of the line, so right end of the line we have Paprec and Platoon, Provezza, Phoenix moving gradually forward, just trying to maintain their position. Now Guillermo Parada on the helm of Gladiator is one of the best starters in the business given time and opportunity, and he's just showing a textbook speed build there. It's all about having maximum speed on the line as the gun goes. We're getting a great start here, and our race officer Maria Torrijo just saying all clear. Go. Nice start from Gladiator, then off the pin. Thai boat is just to weather. Parada just keeping the helm up and just squeezing all the time. You can see that Value won't be able to live there for very much longer. Further up the field as it were to the right. Nice start from Paprec. Quantum, I think bow to bow with Phoenix. And Allegra not quite forward, or as far forward as the 3 boats to weather, but the key thing for them is they have a really nice lane. They have nobody immediately above them, and that gives them space to work with. Although their immediate problem is if they want to get out to the right. We're just seeing the back of Phoenix's mainsail. They're hurtling a little bit relative to Quantum. Prevents a good start from John Cutler. So, like I said, difficult times for Value, who couldn't and can't live in the dirt, in the exhaust of Gladiator. But they have no choice but to tack off now and go behind Sled. So Platoon looked nice over on that right side. Seemed to have got off the line this time. And I'm sure Coach Morgan Reeser will have been encouraging them to sail clean and keep the umpires away from them. But rather too many encounters with the umpires in Saint-Tropez and here. And whether or not things are right or wrong in terms of decisions from the umpire's part or whatever, it's unsettling for the team. Anyway, I'm very much liking the position of Gladiator on this left side relative to the boats to the right of them, which are Sled, now caught in Gladiator's exhaust, just the weather. Certainly the helm, Takashi Akura, Mr. Akura is not managing to hold height relative to Gladiator. Gladiator just squeezing up. So Phoenix not looking too bad either, they've tacked across onto starboard. Minutes between Platoon, Phoenix and Vayu. I think Santi Lang's confidence growing after a pretty tough start on the Phoenix in terms of results. Had a good day yesterday, and they're lying third overall. 4 and a 3, 7 points. Obviously you can do better than that, but after Saint-Tropez then that's a pretty solid day. So Allegra going well where we are, we're just right beside them. But I think still that right side looking good, or it has been looking good. Allegra nicely powered up here, so too Quantum, Gladiator and Sled. Provezza bow forward on Interlodge. Interlodge had a very modest day yesterday. Remember, they started with a double win on the first day in Saint-Tropez. So we're going to head round to the windward mark, see whether this lead that Platoon have transpires. I'll join you in a few minutes. So no really obvious pressure difference across the course at the moment. Breeze has come in quite nicely. We probably have 8.5 knots, 9 knots at this windward mark. I kind of think it's got the potential to build a little bit. We've got some cloud cover over the high land, particularly over to the right of the course. So interesting. It's left. Potentially looking better now coming up to this top mark. Very different to yesterday. Watching how Allegri line up. I think everybody just trying to keep their ley lines a little bit thicker than yesterday. Gladiator, I think, will tack inside Allegri's line. I can see them potentially being first to this mark. May be taken by Sled, but I think Gladiator will have the starboard tack as they come in. No, yeah, Sled having to just duck. Sled give themselves breathing space. So Gladiator, remember, started off the pin end of the line with that nicely timed max speed start, and there, funnily enough, then Platoon, who we saw leading out on that right side early on, they're going to be a little bit deeper than we expected. So too Phoenix. Now they're going to have to come in. They're both coming in on port, have to find a space, but first round is Gladiator. Second will actually be Allegri. Or Allegri and Sled at the same time. Allegri and Sled overlapped. Fourth will be Quantum Racing. Fifth is going to be Phoenix. Then Provezza. Then Platoon. Somebody's tight on the mark, and that's Alpha Plus, though they have got enough room to get round. They're ahead of Interlodge. Phoenix having to do turns. So not good for Phoenix. Interlodge, Paprec and Vayu ending up in 11th round the top mark. They were looking good in the early part of the beat, but that's the way things go quite often.
Yep.
Takes just
going right. Should we get behind them to get the line?
a little error, and so that penalty unfortunately drops Phoenix right back to 11th. They're nicely set up. They have actually got a reasonable position to attack from. So important to get the boat working on this early stage of the downwind, not being too strapped and trying to climb and take positions. You just see that a little bit with Vayu, who are caught out low on the line, a little bit overshooted. But good work by the Gladiator team. So clearly slightly different from yesterday. Yesterday the high right really paid off. Gladiator were mostly left, certainly coming off the pin end of the line. Of course, you never underestimate or forget the relationship between Gigi Parada and navigator Bruno Zerilli. Other small change on board Gladiator this week is they're missing Simon Fry, the one of the main trimmers, or the one of their key trimmers. But maybe not missing him too much at the moment. So Andy Soriano's Allegra in second, third, and ahead of Quantum Racing powered by American Magic are Sled. I wonder whether we're going to see a continued replication of last year's regatta to a certain extent, where the real battle for the title was between Quantum and Sled. Just quickly double checking who the trimmer who's in for Stir Fry is Pier Luigi De Felici, Italian Luna Rossa sailor. Giving them 3 Italians on board the Gladiator just now, along with Francesco Scalici, who's the grinder, and Bruno Zerilli. The Gladiator going well just now. If anything, have opened out just a little bit of margin on Allegra. So boats starting to jibe behind, led by Provezza and Platoon and Alpha Plus. Quantum going, Sled going, Gladiator going as well. And Phoenix went a long time ago. Allegra pushing on. It's interesting, the breeze I think certainly got a little bit lighter on this right side of the downwind just momentarily. Gladiator were slowed slightly, but really the breeze is very streaky at the moment. Sled are quite slowed, but interesting that Gladiator have picked up speed. Seem to be moving quite nicely. Stay out a little bit. Gladiator sailing just a little bit higher to keep the speed up. The breeze just puffing in again. See the little bow wave increasing on Gladiator. Phoenix a little bit exposed out on that left side. It may come in for them, but they did have to do something after that penalty at the top mark. So race 3, Leeward Gate. And if anything, Gladiator have opened out some more distance. Drop and jibe for Gladiator on the left hand mark. Breeze 8 knots here at the Leeward Gate. So probably it's still almost exactly even as they were at the top mark now. How about that? In fact, sled dropping first and we'll get to the right hand mark first, ahead of Allegra. Allegra on the right mark. Sorry, Allegra on the left hand mark looking upwind. Privettes have done quite nice. Are certainly coming in with pace on a nice ley line into the left hand mark, keeping the kite up until the last second, and that's giving them half a boat length gain on Platoon. But meantime, Quantum Racing go round in 4th. So key thing there for Sled is having Allegra between them and Quantum. Quantum looked quite slow coming out of the mark. Just got into a little bit of a hole, only 30 or 40 metres ahead of them. Sled are powered up, and in fact increasingly powered up. They're fully hiked. Quantum behind are just starting to get weight on the rail. Privet's a Platoon. Alpha Plus. Paprec Value. And Phoenix, unfortunately, made no gains for that Sojourn out to the right side coming downwind. In fact, if anything, they've lost a little bit of ground. So tough times for the South African team after they were going well yesterday. We're alongside the Spirit of Malouin, which is better known as Paprec, French team. Paprec sailing team from France. See Jean-Luc Petit-Huguenin, the owner, I think, at the back of the boat. Quantum and a nice little righty, a little lift for them, I think. The breeze is quite funky just now, as we expected, because of these thunderclouds and thunderstorms around in this part of Tuscany. We had a big one last night, just after tea time. A really torrential downpour with quite strong winds. So we're on the second beat of race 3. Allegra have gone quite far out to this left side. So Phoenix then unfortunately have some work to do. So big cloud out to the right of the course. I think affecting the breeze. Now whether you sail to it or away from it is the big question. Anyway, I think we'll head up to the windward mark and see what's happening up there. Join you in a few minutes.
Like it?
Yeah. So big differences in wind pressure across the course just now. Quite a lot more breeze on this left side. particularly where Gladiator are and Sled. Quantum are slightly higher in terms of angle out to that right side, but don't have the wind pressure. I think probably for the moment Gladiator just giving a little bit of a cover on the sled. I think Allegre, are in the process of losing out to Quantum, who have been out to the right. Indeed, Leeward Gate, Allegre were third and Quantum fourth, and Quantum have just crossed them comfortably. The key, and what's interesting now, is we're just seeing that Sled have tacked, seeing the high line that Quantum are on, and their key objective now is really to cover against Quantum rather than pushing on to follow or stay with Gladiator. A nice move, nice call from the after guard on the Quantum. Certainly Sled just putting what they have in the bank. So it's it's Sled's move in the sense that they will go over to cover Quantum, and at the same time Gladiator stay with them to cover them. And I think probably a net gain also to Sled. In the end, Quantum quite close to the Gladiator, just going behind Gladiator at the moment, but certainly have pulled up 3 or 4 boat lengths. I think we're seeing Sled in the lead now. Sled went to the right hand mark at the Leeward Gate, to Gladiator to the left hand mark looking upwind. So things looking good for Mr. Akura and the team on Sled. Although Quantum Racing, powered by American Magic, very much on the hunt, on the prowl, pushing all the time. Meantime, Gladiator splitting out to the right. And I kind of feel like they've got a little bit less pressure and sailing a wider angle, but that should mean a good ley line in from their position. Just see when they complete their tack relative to Provezza, who are way to leeward of them. So we're at the second windward mark, and again, just to emphasise how streaky the breeze is, looking downwind at the fleet, you can see that Allegre have spent maybe 30 seconds, 40 seconds slowed with all the crew weight inboard, trying to keep some heel angle on, keep some power on. Meantime, on the opposite tack, only maybe 70 metres upwind, sled fully powered up. So it's all about knitting together the best lanes of pressure. So on Quantum Racing, they have Sean Clarkson helping out in the strategy department. Quantum for sure have closed into sled. Gladiator coming in across on starboard. Allegri have lost out a heap compared to the top three boats just now. Gladiator have some pressure, nicely powered up coming across. May have made a little bit of a gain back on the boats they lost. Yeah, I think probably Gladiator will cross in front of Quantum Racing. Sled a little bit depowered coming out of the tack, and may end up with Gladiator rolling up to them. Just need to accelerate now, which they're doing. Sled can't afford to be under ley line. Quantum a little bit low just now actually. Breeze quite right, I think. Just looking at how sled are setting up their kite. Anyway, we'll see. So round to the final windward mark. First is the sled, second Gladiator, third are going to be Quantum Racing. Fourth are Allegre. Fifth Provezza. Sixth Platoon. Seventh will be Alpha Plus. So both boats jibing at the same time. Gladiator go earlier, trying to get down inside the inside sled. Sled come out with more pace. Slightly better jibe. Kite easing on the Gladiator as they Guillermo Parada tries to use that pace that they have just now to glide over the top of Sled. Sled getting a little bit of a header. Race, as I said, very funky, very fluky. And of course they have some disturbed air from weather, from the boats going across the offset leg. Parada just keeping the helm up, going for maximum speed, trying to break over the top of Sled. So I think this is going to be an interesting run. So Breeze in the right phase clearly with early jibes. That right phase working for Gladiator coming in. So tough day for the Phoenix then. They were third overall after the 2 races yesterday. You just can't afford to have penalties in this fleet. And I think more and more we're seeing how hard it is to get back into this fleet. I think a few years ago you could use the cliche, well, we just keep chipping away, trying to take boats, a boat here and a boat there after a bad start or a penalty or whatever, and trying to convert the 9th, 10th, 11th to 5th or 6th, and that's just not happening, certainly not here just now. Then Gladiator then yesterday with a pair of 9ths. So really have to keep the level high now if they're going to shoot for a podium finish as they had in Saint-Tropez. So Gladiator, of course, on Quantum Sails, part of the kind of 3-boat program which runs, sharing the briefing and debriefing, the data collection and analysis. And I think quite interesting for all involved to have KJ Parada in the fold, as it were, in that operation. And previously he was always, of course, a big rival in the Azura days. And I think KJ is enjoying being in the programme, having that level of support. I think correspondingly, I think he brings a lot to the entire programme. So they're chasing Sled just now. There's not much in it. One puff and Gladiator could get down to Sled. Always difficult for a boat like Sled or the leader to protect in this situation. However, Sled are quick downwind. Again, a team like others who have worked very hard through the winter, looking at how they set the rig up. It's a little bit of wind pressure coming in from behind. Anyway, we're rolling through a pretty decent race, though the wind's quite light. Can't have too many big complaints about the conditions. Now, race officer's concern was that the local information was we had this window round about 12 to 1:30 when we get the sea breeze, and then it might get a little bit unsettled with the thunderstorms, but no immediate evidence of that. Looking across our horizons all round. So fingers crossed we might be able to roll into the second race as we did yesterday. Yesterday really went like clockwork. So the way things stand just now, if the positions stay the same through the finish line in this race, then Sled would lead by 2 points over Quantum American Magic. Provezza would be third on 13, Platoon fourth on 17, Phoenix 18, Vayu 18, Allegra 19, Gladiator 19, Patrick 21, Interlodge 24, and Alpha Plus 28. So that is if things stay the same. Yeah, saying the breeze is lighter just now. Probably six knots, maybe 5. I say when we started it was probably 8, gusting 9. So very definitely lighter, as was forecast. Race officer Maria said that it's likely the best window would be just after 12, and then by the afternoon the breeze would drop. Hence the reason we were out early and programmed the first start for a warning signal of 12. We didn't quite get that, but just looking at the flags on the Corinthian, Tony Langley's mothership, really hardly moving, and so too on the committee boat. Flags are flying quite gently, so maybe a little bit of a waiting game after this race, and certainly maximum concentration all the way inside the boat, keeping everything low. So speed's down Max concentration on board the sled, under pressure from Gladiator behind. These two do have a pretty safe lead, you would think, over the boats behind. Kites are trimmed quite tight momentarily, just perhaps a little bit of a shift, maybe some pressure coming down to them. About 350 metres, something like that, for sled to ghost down through the finish line and collect their second first. Winners yesterday were sled and Quantum Racing, both had 1 and a 5. Committee boat, end of the line, closest to sled by about a boat length. Really options running out for Gladiator in terms of any kind of attack. They very much on the stern of the sled. And as we said, the key thing for sled is having at least one boat between them and Quantum, and that boat is the red spinnakered, red crew uniformed Gladiator. So here we come, Takashi Akura's sled, the 2021 champions, 2021 Rolex World Champions, coming through the finish line now to take their second win. 3 starts, 2 wins. That's quite impressive. Lost 2 places on the second race at the Leeward Gate, Michele Avaldi was telling me. So it could have been a different story, but I think everybody in the fleet could say the same thing about yesterday. The woulda, coulda, shoulda. But all credit then to the Gladiator team coming through in second. Remember, they started off the pin end of the line, got up the left side and led at the top mark. So Quantum Racing powered by American Magic. Harry Melgis, the 4th, steering the grey and black hulled Quantum through the finish line now. Sarah Stone on the mid bow. They get through in 3rd. So their gain was Allegra's loss. Allegra 3rd at the Leeward Gate, 2nd at the top mark, and 4th through the finish. some points, talking points with coach Francesco De Angelis. Francesco knows these waters as well as anyone, I'm quite sure. Now then, a little attack coming in at the last minute from the Alpha Plus team. Just going to nip a 5th. So all credit then to Ian Walker and the lads and lasses on Alpha Plus getting a 5th. 7th at the Leeward Gate, 7th at the Windward Mark, 8th at the top mark first time out, and just pipping Provezza. Just correcting a little error I made yesterday. Of course, the old Luna Rossa Alpha Plus is a 2018 boat as well. Always went well in the light breezes, though. Remember the one in Croatia. Then Vayu coming through in 7th. They pulled back a few places. Interlodge correspondingly have lost a pile. 8th, I think it's going to be Platoon. Now remember, Platoon were quite deep. I think they were 8th at the top mark first time out. And still staying 8th, so they've not been able to take many places. Phoenix having a little tussle with the Paprec, although Phoenix have run out of breeze in their kite just now. Just hardly any wind across where Paprec and the Phoenix are. Phoenix having to sail high and wide to get enough pressure to get through their jibe. They may still, the two of them may still lose out to Interlodge. Interlodge coming down quite a fast line, relatively speaking. Yeah, that's indeed what's going to happen. We've got so Platoon through the line. Next will be Interlodge. Interlodge just picked up the breeze. And Paprec. And Phoenix, who were looking so good coming into the top mark first time up, until they had to take their penalty. They were 5th at the top mark before the penalty, dropping to 11th then. So tough times, as I said, for the South African team, but plenty more racing in this regatta. Not sure we're going to go again very quickly, but all credit then to Sled and to Gladiator. Top 2 in this race. Quantum Racing made a gain relative to Allegri. Allegri get 4th, and in 5th were Alpha Plus sneaking that 5th, and credit to them as well. So interesting race, light breezes. I think we'll go on hold for a little bit, but thanks for joining us in the meantime, and we'll speak to you again hopefully in a short while. So, it's a little bit painful when the fucking lunch is horrible. She was diving on the sled, were they diving on sled? Welcome back to beautiful Gulf of Follonica here in Tuscany. We're going into the second race of the day, race number 4 of the 52 Super Series Scarlino Sailing Week. Good win for Sled moving 2 points clear at the top of the table. Breeze has been quite light through the intervening period. We've just been waiting for it to come in and settle. And as you remember, the last race finished in very light conditions. Now we probably got to 7 knots, 7.5, 8 knots perhaps, and it's settled somewhere around about 250 degrees. Remember, we started in 260 in the previous race. The breeze was round to 225 was what the original axis that Maria set up for, and so it's very shifty. We know that it's very up and down. Lots of puffs and little holes to watch out for, and so it's going to be a very testing second race today. And really there's a couple of boats like Phoenix. There should be opportunities for them to come back after that bad first race, but it's all about consistency at the top level. Sled, Quantum Racing, Allegro had a good race there. So there'll be lots of opportunities once again on this race course, but especially in this shifty breeze. So let's see how things go. Once again, it's all about getting off the start line. Now remember, on the previous race we saw Gladiator starting off the pin. Really a nice time on distance on the pin. Good speed build, and that really got them away. Now looking at how things are shaping up, seems to be a few teams liking the committee boat end of the line. Among them we see Gladiator just holding Paprec up just now, trying to start jostling for position, trying to hold your lane where you want to be starting on the line, trying not to be squeezed by boats below you. It's all about having space to build speed into, not be squeezed, getting off the line at maximum speed. As we saw a real textbook lesson there in the previous race from Guillermo Parada on the helm of the Gladiator now. So this time Alpha Plus starting on the left of the group, a little bit behind the group, but they do have loads of space to leeward to stay clear of trouble. It's all about time and distance for them, trying to hit the line with maximum speed. Just to windward of them they have Vayu, Quantum Racing, Phoenix bow is forward, Platoon coming forward early. Harmüller Spear just scrubbing off a little bit of speed, but at the wrong time. It's all about going forward on the gun now. To me it looked like individual recall. I think it was probably Quantum. Indeed, yeah, they were bow forward and are having to return. That's a big expensive mistake for them. The fleet started going early, I think kind of almost pulled forward by Platoon, but Platoon ended up having to scrub off speed at the last second. So 3 boats tack off to the right, straight off the line. They are Allegro, Gladiator and Paprec. Nice start from Vayu in the main group. Privet's a little bit flat-footed relative to the boats round about them. Platoon again back on the group round about them because of that last few seconds. They just had to scrub off speed and then started the acceleration. Really were too close to the gun. However, they got a decent position there just to weather of. I think they've got 3 boats to leeward. I like the position of Vayu. So there we go. Then Quantum Racing, powered by American Magic, have to restart over the line early, and they're a long way back. I think yesterday when Alpha Plus restarted, they were 3.5 minutes behind the fleet. So uphill battle then for the Quantum Racing powered by American Magic crew. And in some senses breathing space for Sled, who were 2 points clear of them. It's a little drag race. We're just alongside Alpha Plus, who are just allured and behind of the Thai boat. The Whitcraft's on Vayu. To weather of them, I think, is Sled. Phoenix tack out, seem to be in a fairly decent position. Provezza coming back. At this stage it's a lot about letting the boat stay at maximum speed for as long as possible, trying to minimise the manoeuvres, keep the lane clear and open. Sled nicely positioned in this as well, just slightly to weather off the Vayu. Nice tack as I speak from Sled. Now let's see how Sled fare relative to Provezza. Provezza for me nicely powered up. Phoenix in a nice position as well, clear ahead of the Provezza. And I feel that actually Sled have tacked into nice lane of pressure, nice extra breeze for them. Surprisingly, I thought this breeze was going to fade. It's actually built since the start. Teams, as you can see, fully hiked. And Sled, yes, Sled will cross ahead of Provezza. Not by much though. And if anything, Provezza just getting a little lift. Now we're watching Vayu and Provezza converging. Vayu on port going across. So Quantum sailing with clear breeze, obviously having had to restart. Should get themselves into the back of the fleet fairly quickly, as they can really do their own thing for the first part of the beat until they get into the traffic. They can really minimise their tacks, just let the boat do the work. Alpha Plus working out on that left side. So the right worked before. I'm quite liking where Gladiator are. Platoon, although actually probably Phoenix slightly better positioned. think what's great just now about what we're seeing in the fleet is that if the less well-known teams, shall we call them, the Values and Paprex, and when they get themselves into positions, they seem to be able to hold them. They're very competitive with the fleet, and that's what's changed in recent years. It's a great advert for the class and for the fleet. See Value going across with pressure on port. They should cross ahead of, or perhaps Libao, the Phoenix. I think they're, although the pressure is stronger on that right side, and Phoenix are sailing quite high just now. And indeed, in the end, Value don't manage to cross Phoenix. Phoenix will pretty much roll them because they have good momentum. Meantime, Sled going across. So Quantum have pushed well out to this left side. Meantime, we're going to head round to the windward mark. Alpha Plus have gone way to the left. I'll speak to you in a few minutes from the windward mark. Provetza then working this left side. Not their best start of the regatta, but fighting hard out on the left, attacking now. It's interesting, I kind of see a little bit of a split in the breeze. Alpha Plus quite high on this left side. The boats on the far right, on the opposite tack, also quite high. So I wonder who's going to win out. Just now Allegri looking quite good over the extreme right, along with Platoon. So Quantum getting themselves back into this progressively, I think. Alpha Plus looking quite good coming across. Sled as well. As I said, Quantum really have kept it super simple, minimising their tax. Allegri quite nicely positioned. I think probably going to be, I would say, second at the mark. All about the ley line for Alpha Plus just now, although Vayu and Platoon coming in late from the left side, sailing a little bit quicker and higher. But as ever, it's really hard to come into this fleet on port unless you know exactly, you have a clear position, clear opening. Alpha Plus just a little bit tight on ley line. Platoon coming in nicely as well. However, it will be Alpha Plus, not by much though. Just having to squeeze high in the last 2 or 3 boat lengths to the mark, but all credit to Ian Walker and the afterguard. I think Vayu will be round in second. So an Asian 1-2. Platoon around cleanly in third, no messing about this time, and they have a bit of distance. Paprika having to bail out, and not sure what's going on there, tell you in a few seconds, but round fourth are Allegri, fifth are Sled, sixth Gladiator, seventh Quantum. Good recovery for them considering they were last across the line. Pressing Gladiator hard. So Quantum racing powered by American Magic, sorting out the kite nicely. Greg Gundell on the bow, assisted by Sarah Stone. Calling Harry Mill just to keep the bow down. In the meantime, looks like Gladiator having to do turns. Indeed, that's the case. Phoenix chasing Interlodge. Provezza, Paprec. Gladiator get their turns completed ahead of Paprec. Provezza a little bit deep in 10th place, so good upwind from Alpha Plus. Same formula actually working as for Gladiator in the previous race, albeit the breeze a little bit further to the left, but Gladiator, remember, started off the pin end of the line, going time and distance, maximum speed, and the same applied there for Alpha Plus. So they are in the lead with the Vayu in second. Platoon third, Allegra fourth, and Sled fifth. So Sled pursuing Allegra just in front of them. And ironically, they have Quantum just behind, which must be a little bit galling, considering Quantum were over the start line and had to go back, and were certainly a minute and a half behind when they restarted. However, as I said, it's not always such a huge disadvantage if you can sail in clean air, sail fast, minimise your manoeuvres, minimise your tacks, and sail in the best breeze. It's not always terminal when you're over the line, as I've seen so many times. So it would be an extra point, of course, to Sled at the moment. Sled really must keep Quantum behind them, or they're losing a point. They've got a 3-point lead just now as things stand. The breeze holding in quite nicely for the meantime. Alpha Plus holding on well, going fast. Yeah, Platoon immediately behind them. So Sled, Jai Barley, Alpha Plus go now. So Alpha Plus have, say, Ian Walker calling tactics. But a few very experienced sailors on board as well, including Paul Flipper Westlake, main trimmer, Vice President, I think, of North Sails. Used to sail on the Azura. America's Cup winner Simon Dobney on trim. Craig Monk, grinder. Yeah, unfortunately, it seems like the breeze has eased off out in this right side. Sled saw that and jibed earlier and seemed to have taken the lead. Meantime, Privettes have gone way out to that left side. They look quite good. It's all about these lanes of breeze. And of course, the thing is, and the 52s, of course, the angles increase significantly when the breeze gets light. You have to heat the boat up quite a lot to speed up when it goes light and you get into hole, and the converse of that is also, once you get pressure, you can bring the bow down. The sled going very, very nicely just now. They've worked hard on their light airs downwind speed. But Provezza went round the top mark in 10th place, jibed early. Certainly getting back at the fleet a little bit. Provezza do seem to have got into the fleet a little bit, but they're quite light in terms of wind pressure just now. Sled jibing. I think they're going to head for this left mark looking upwind. We're using these robotic marks. It's for a little electric engine in them. GPS positioning holds them on station, theoretically. It's right at the leeward gate. Now, things looking really tough for Quantum Racing. Have gone way out to the right side, and having got themselves out of the frying pan, they're very much into the fire. Way out to that right side, and a long way to get back into the fleet. However, Actually, it's Vayu who are going to lead through the gate. They were second at the top mark. And it's close between Allegra, Provezza, and they're all coming in with the Breeze having gone ahead. Big left-hander. And that is really horrendous just now for Quantum Racing. We're away over on that left side, having to come back against the left shift. To Provezza then get up from 10th to 2nd. Allegra go up from 4th to 3rd. Next round will be sled. And Gladiator. And Platoon are the big loser, I think. Yeah, Platoon coming in, I think next, although not with much pace. Yeah, Platoon going round the left mark and forcing Interlodge to go way round to the right hand mark. Big call for them. Patrick through next. They're going round the outside. Quantum are going to try and come inside. They won't, they'll just jibe onto their stern. Patrick, Quantum, and Phoenix. So Breeze is quite light, but still looking good for Vayu out in front, leading the way up this track. Big differences in wind pressure, big differences of wind pressure across the course. Gladiator fully powered up on that left side of the upwind have gone, and in the meantime Phoenix and Interlodge out on the right. Interlodge worst of all, they've got everybody inside the boat to leeward, and the Breeze has just not reached them at all. That move to go round the right hand mark really cost them. They have no wind, and I think probably where Allegra are, for example, and Quantum, they're now into probably 12 knots of breeze. As much wind as we've seen today and yesterday. A big, I think, a continued left-hand shift. This was always going to be the case, according to our local experts and these thunderstorms and everything else. But this is feels more like a full thermal enhancement coming in. And certainly not what I expected. I think a few people were expecting the Breeze to die away, but in fact we might get quite a fast finish, and all to the good for our friends on Vayu, who are really well clear. So the wonderful Seb from GeoVision just bringing us up to date as things change now. Incredible. Sled would be leading after this race by 5 points. Preveza would be up to second on 16 points. Vayu would be up to third, and Quantum dropping from a share of the lead to fourth. But that's as things stand on the water. Hopefully Seb will give us another magical update on the run. That would be more beneficial, but in the meantime things looking good for Vayu. So this upwind's a little bit one-sided now. Just in terms of cloud cover, it's clear out to the left side of the course. Lots of big heavy cumulus on the right side of the track. It's amazing still, in terms of the differences in wind pressure since the leeward mark. Then Interlodge and to a lesser extent Phoenix have had nowhere near as much wind as the boats, who are only 150, 200 metres to their left. Gladiator fully powered up going upwind, so too Alpha Plus. So Alpha Plus, the big or one of the big losers on that downwind. Big gain to Preveza. Preveza to leeward of the Allegra. There's quite a spread in the fleet now, really, after these big wind shifts and big changes in wind pressure. All to the good for Vayu. Remember, Vayu won one of the practice races, as they did indeed in Saint-Tropez. This win would put them up to third place on the general classification. Race management team just coming alongside us to signal a change of course for the downwind.
Get even closer. If we have our nose to the right side to get away, yeah. We can get closer. Yeah, then I can.
So around the weather mark with a big lead is Vayu. Key thing for sled is they now have 3, potentially 4 boats between them and Quantum Racing. So change of course, wind axis is now at 240. So that's of course the bearing from the line to the windward mark. 20-degree shift or thereabouts, and Vayu then setting the kite at the offset mark. And this is going to be a big win for the team from Thailand. Second round is Provezza, third is going to be Allegri. Fourth will be Sled. Say big gaps now, or actually Gladiator not far behind them. Sixth, the sixth is going to be Interlodge. Yeah. So even though they were short of wind at the leeward gate, got themselves back into it. In sixth, Platoon seventh. Remember, Platoon were third at the top mark. And Alpha plus Phoenix. Tenth is Quantum, and 11th Pat Brett. So a big score for Quantum, really. will affect their position in the regatta, and that's a big one to carry forward for the season. But I wonder what lesson is there to be learned from the way that Alpha Plus started and Gladiator started, staying completely clear of the fray, the action at the committee boat end of the line. Both started time on distance at the pin end. Both started with maximum speed. However, Alpha Plus have dropped into the fleet after that downwind where they stayed too far to the right, and the big shift, the left shift came in. And that was where the Provezza gained, coming back from 10th at the top mark. So things looking generally pretty good for Sled. They're in 4th at the moment, and Quantum 6 places behind them. And so that means they will, if things stay the same, they'll come ashore tonight with a 7-point lead over Provezza and Vayu. Sorry, a 5-point lead. 5-point lead over Provezza and 6 over Vayu. So the standings would be Sled, Provezza, Vayu, Quantum and Allegra. Phoenix dropping 3 places today on the overall standings for the 52 Super Series Scarlino Sailing Week. Of course, the Vayu team very much a family affair. So happy days then for the Whitcraft family on the Vayu. Big lead. Breeze is quite headed for them as they come down at speed. I think they've got 6 members of the Whitcraft family on board. And I think 7 Thai nationals. Team really run by Pom Green. Nick Rogers as tactician, Miles Seddon the navigator, and Don Whitcraft on the helm, Dylan on backstay, and the two of them of course campaigning for Paris 2024 in the 49er, looking for the Thai berth. Certainly in gold medal position at the moment in this race. Actually quite a good race in the end. Certainly entertaining and challenging. But as we said before the start, it was very likely to be shifty and difficult. Nick Rogers, I think, just won the Maxi European Championships on North Star as tactician. So final jibe for them. So this will take them up to 3rd place on the overall standings. High fives all round. They're jumping around. Very, very happy team. So happy times, as say, for the Vayu team. Nice win for them. They work as hard as anyone else in this fleet. Put everything into it and deserve a win from time to time. Next through will be Preveza, coming back from the dead really. They were 10th at the top mark. Get up to 2nd on the lure gate, and they too will be pretty happy with that. Of course, protects their lead overall. 52 Super Series 2023 Championship, and Allegra coming through next. This time going forward in the fleet. So Vayu 1st, 2nd are Preveza, 3rd Allegra, 4th will be Sled. I don't think we'll have too many complaints from them for a 4th. Gladiator in 5th. Probably, potentially Gladiator, I think, top boat for the day. 2nd and 5th, maybe. We'll look at that in a minute. Interlodge. I had kind of dead and buried at the leeward gate coming through for 7th, then Platoon, and Alpha Plus led round the top mark. A little bit unlucky, I would say. Ian Walker hands on hips, just a bit frustrated. They had a good upwind and just lost out on the run. And Phoenix, big surge for the Quantum Racing. Full power through the line, but unfortunately they're in 10th place after being over the start line. Paprec 11th. So the ups and downs, ebbing and flowing fortunes of different teams in this fleet, but it's all about consistency, and that is where Sled are scoring most highly in the meantime. So too Preveza. They'll say getting back from 10th to 2nd maintains that consistency for the Turkish flag team, which won in Saint-Tropez. Keeps them, takes them up to 2nd place overall. The Value in 3rd, but no mistaking the regatta leaders. Clear lead now. They were tied on points this morning with Quantum Racing powered by American Magic, and now I think they go ashore with a 5-point lead after quite a long day on the water. 3:45 local time. Shouldn't complain, this has been longer, but good work by the Value team winning that race. Good work to the Sled team stepping clear at the top of the table. So that's it from Scarlino for today. Skies are actually darkening over Follonica and up to windward. Maybe the thunderstorms are going to be coming in now, who knows. Last night it was torrential rain and had no jacket and got soaking, so you live and learn. Anyway, join us again tomorrow for day 3 of racing, going through the midpoint of this regatta. Should be a 10 race week, here's hoping. We're still up to schedule after a little bit of delay early part of the day, but it's been great racing, great sport, great spectator sport. Join us again tomorrow.